Thank you, David. And now we have two guests in the studio, and we begin now with a discussion that's really important for our audience. And if we can, would you introduce everybody?
Of course. Well, John, first of all, for those of you who listen to our program, Kavika is not here today, who is generally my co-host, and I happen to be Leona Rocha. And we're in the studio, actually, with John and my guest, Rebecca Armato. But I'll get to that in a minute. It is The View from Lona Ridge. And just a comment on John, who's here, my co-host today. John happens to own the KEWE radio group here on Maui. So welcome to you, John, and please help me out. You know that.
I'm here to help.
I can talk, but I need a little guidance.
No problem. Well, the topic today is so important to everyone. Yes. Can you introduce our guest?
Yes, of course. Today I have Rebecca Armato. Now, how this came about, Rebecca happens to be my neighbor where I live and a very good friend. And she has an incredible job at the Pacific Cancer Institute. So welcome, Rebecca. Tell us so the audience will know who you are, where you came from, what do you do. Your title is at the Pacific Cancer Institute?
I'm the administrator at the Pacific Cancer Institute of Maui.
What does that mean when you're an administrator? What do you do? You tell people what to do?
No. You know, I am not smart enough or talented enough to save people's lives, but my team is.
Terrific.
And so my job is really to make sure they have everything they need when they need it, so they can continue to work with our patients and help save lives. So that's my job, is to make sure the real heroes have everything they need.
Oh, terrific. How many staff do you have?
We have 13 and a half people at the Pacific Cancer Institute, and we have some oncologists that come over from Oahu, because as we all know, unfortunately, there's a shortage of physicians and specialists on the island, but they also treat patients and see patients in our facility. And we work well with the Pacific Cancer Foundation, and they have a dietitian and a patient navigator in our facility too. So we have about 20 people at any given time to help the 70-plus patients that come through every day.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. You know, cancer is such a topic most families don't want to have to talk about. Mm-hmm. We have, it's, you know, it is such a serious issue, and that was the reason I asked you to come and join us, and that was the reason I went to your facility. First of all, now that we know a little bit about you, where is the Institute located?
We are located right next to the emergency entrance at the hospital. So if you're going, and hopefully you never had to go into the emergency room, but if you did and you look to your left, you'd see a big sign that said Pacific Cancer Institute. And our building is right there, connected to the hospital, but technically we are privately held, so we are not part of the drama, unfortunately, that's going on at the hospital.
So you're an independent company?
Yes, we're an independent private practice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When did this all come about, and who started it?
Bobby Baker actually is the founder of the Pacific Cancer Institute, and it's been 23 years, 24 years.
Really?
When he got his certificate of need approved to bring an accelerator and provide radiation treatment. Before that, patients had to go to Oahu or the mainland to get radiation treatment for their cancer, which we all know it's so important to have your family, your ohana around you to support you during that tremendous fight. So he was really a trailblazer and really fought hard and had a lot of people on Maui supporting him to get that certificate of need, and we've been providing care to patients ever since.
And is he still there?
Yeah, he's still involved with the center. He spends a little more time on the mainland, but we have another wonderful doctor, Benjamin Falit, who just joined us, who is trained at Yale Medical School. So he, between him and Bobby, we still treat patients.
Mm-hmm. Now, who's the one that came from Yale?
Benjamin Falit, Dr. Falit.
Benjamin. He was the young man that I just met.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, I when I was at Rebecca's office, this young man came in, young, tall, good-looking young man, and he just moved. Good-looking, John is laughing. Good-looking plays an important role for me. And, it doesn't hurt. Let me put it that way. So anyway, he came in and he introduced himself, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is amazing. This guy has an incredible education. He's Yale and Harvard, isn't it? I read his bio, isn't it? Yale and Harvard. And I'm thinking, what is he doing here? People say, oh, we don't have the best in staff. Well, look at this young man. He is the best in staff.
Well, and I have to tell you that his wife and kids are really beautiful, too. So they're a whole beautiful family. But they moved here from Boston to get away from the snow and rain. But he loves it here. You know
what's important about that, too, is that he brings a fresh technology. Is that correct?
A fresh approach to what he's doing, the latest, greatest on all the write-ups of how to treat and fight cancer with radiation. So he's got a tremendous breadth and depth of knowledge that he brings to both our team and our patients. So it's very exciting to have him. He's been on island since June 1. And we've had tremendous reception from both the medical community and our patients in working with him.
That's terrific. I would like to, I did mention to him, I'd like him to come and sit in on our radio program. And he can bring his kids. I thought it would be kind of fun. He can bring his wife, too. It's okay. I'm sure they're really nice people. Yeah. So when you're looking at, first of all, you know what? I looked up the word oncology and what the definition is. We use the word, and we don't really, one, I didn't know the source, and two, when did it come about, and what is the definition? So I asked Rebecca I looked on my old-fashioned way. I went to the Webster Dictionary, and I looked it up. But Rebecca came in, and thank God she knows a lot more about definitions than I do, and she looked it up really the smart way with Wikipedia. How do you say that?
Wikipedia.
Right. So tell us what oncology means.
Oncology is the branch of medicine that deals with the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of cancer. And it came actually from the Greek word onkos, which means tumor, but it's a variety of specialties that go from that point. So there's a medical oncologist who treats with chemo and hormone treatment. There's a radiation oncologist, which is what we have, which Dr. Falit is and Dr. Baker is, that treat with radiation. And then there are surgical oncologists that treat with surgical procedures to remove the tumor. And it's only by working together that you can really fight it. And then there's subspecialties all among that, where you get into the gynecological cancers and, dermatological, okay.
Whatever. I can't pronounce those words either.
I need more coffee. But the idea is there's subspecialists.
You know what she brought? And she brought me a bar of Hershey chocolates.
It is early Sunday morning.
You got to start the day off with chocolate, right. No matter what. Chocolate and coffee.
I read a sign out there that said a balanced diet, and that is to have chocolate in one hand and chocolate in the other hand, which I thought that was a very good balanced diet. But the definition of oncology, I always thought that there was just one level of oncology, but to hear that you have the medical, what was it again?
Medical oncology treats with chemotherapy and hormone treatment, and radiation is what we do, which treats with radiation, high-speed X-rays, and electrons to attack the tumor and the tissue around it. And then you've got surgical oncologists that remove the tumors, and then you've got the subspecialties around the different areas.
In the next program, if you will stay with us for the next show, Rebecca, I'd like to talk about the treatment, the different types of treatment of cancer, and get as much information about that, because that would be helpful for us to learn about. Hopefully, we never really need it. I mean, God would only wish that they find a cure for it. I get chicken skin when I think about it, because it's in my family as well, and it affects, what is it, 1 in every 4 or 5? There's a statistic.
Depends on which ones, but some are 1 in every 3 people get cancer at some point in their lifetime, and now that we're living longer, unfortunately, the incidence goes up as well.
So just living longer. So there is some drawbacks to living longer, right? When I visited your facility, It's a beautiful facility. And let me just mention one other thing, because when I walked in, there was incredible art there. And just amazing art from Robert Lynn Nelson. And if that doesn't lift your spirits, to see the work and the talent of this man, in fact, the reason you couldn't miss it, actually.
It is 4 foot by 10 foot, the one painting. So
you couldn't miss it. But the only reason was my niece went there and goes there for treatment. And she texted me and said, Leona, you have to see the art. And of course, she knows that you know Robert, I know Robert. And he's an incredible artist, and he does lift the spirits there, I must say.
We have patients that don't, when it comes their time to go back for their treatment, they'd rather stand there a little bit longer and they're counting the fish or the sea life or whatever. So they're like, no, I'm not done looking at the painting yet. We're too efficient.
No, it was really, but, when I walked in, John, you've got to go there. John, are you here with us still?
Definitely. But I'm listening because I, too, am a survivor from cancer.
Oh.
I had colon cancer and had a part of my colon removed and survived. And so I'm really deeply involved in this discussion from that standpoint.
Wow.
And really, really have kind of looked at how things have changed down through the years. And that may be one of the questions I have. You've been the operation has been around for about 23 years, you mentioned.
Yes.
How has the type of patients and the activity, how has it changed during those years as people have become more aware of their own body and what they need to do and how to act faster than it was in the old days?
I think we've really seen a much more organized approach to coordinating the chemo, hormone therapy, radiation therapy, and surgery to attack the tumor specifically. So they're using genetics in some cases to identify what the likelihood of patients of reoccurrence are, even after surgical removal. And based on those factors, they may go for some additional radiation to make sure that all of the tissue surrounding the tumor has been irradiated and protecting and minimizing the chance for reoccurrence. So there is a much more targeted approach and a very personal approach to the tumor treatment to make sure that everything is attacked so there is no reoccurrence down the road. Plus just a better coordinated effort of communication, so understanding and being mindful of the patient's their quality of life. So the idea is as they're going through the treatment, how are you balancing the chemo and the surgical and the radiation to make sure the patient is able to continue to interact with their loved ones and family and work. A lot of people work and get treatment at the same time too. So it's just been advanced to the point where we can be much more targeted on what we're doing, especially with our equipment. We've upgraded. And we have a better technology than even is available on Oahu. So we have the latest, greatest technology here on Maui than they even have on the other islands. So the idea is, how do you, why go anywhere? We're able to just wrap that tumor in our planning process so that we attack it. So, yeah, that's been the advancement.
The thing, sorry to interrupt you, but I was so impressed because when I walked into the institute, I saw these pieces of equipment. They're huge. They're current. The technology there is amazing. What was that first piece of equipment that I saw there?
That was actually the CT scanner that we used to put the patient in and simulate the treatment we're going to do, and we just take slices and make sure that we've got the whole body x-rayed in that area. So that's what we do to kind of plan the treatment, and we can go into the next show more about the treatment types.
I would like to do the treatment in the next show. As I was leaving the facility, I noticed there was a large boardroom, and there was all the technology. What do you do in that large room?
Well, very quickly, we actually have peer reviews and tumor board meetings with specialists across the country in talking about certain patient cases. So when we have complicated cases or involved cases, we can bring in nationally known experts and video conference and talk about the patient's everybody viewing the x-rays, everybody viewing the treatment plans, everybody discussing what's best
So
for
it's
the
a
patient.
very, very broad approach to identifying not only the problem, but identifying the treatment,
Yes.
which we're going to talk about in the next show. But let me ask you a question. Once you receive a diagnosis, what do you recommend that a patient do?
Quickly talk to your physician about all the options and make sure you meet with a radiation oncologist or surgical if it's appropriate, because you need to attack this on all fronts and just make sure you've got all the information you need to attack it correctly.
I think add to that, just because I know we're almost done, right? John's nodding his head, yes. But I think what it speaks to is the fact that you have to take ownership. You have to take responsibility for your own health. You have to go after it and join in the process. Would you say?
Yes, yeah, be an active participant, not passive.
So are we done, John?
Yes, we are for this week.
Okay, and so
Thank you for another great show.
Oh, John, thank you so much. And Rebecca Armato, who is the administrator of the Pacific Cancer Institute, thank you so much. And she will be back to talk to us about treatment, cancer treatment. So join us a week from today on Sunday at 8:30 at KEWE. And I'm Leona Rocha, and much appreciation for your joining us today. Thank you, and thanks, John, and thanks, Rebecca.
Mahalo.